Now 250,000. Now, but to get 275. High, but to get 275. 3. Now 300,000. Now 3 1/4. 325. High, but to get 3 1/4. But to get 325. Now half. Now, but to get 300. And good morning, and hello from Dallas, Texas. We are at the corner of Lincoln Center. We're right here at Lincoln Center at the Dallas North Tollway and LBJ 635. This is Mike Jones, Mike McGavel Jones, and we have a great show lined up for you today. It's a beautiful day in Dallas, yes, gorgeous day in Dallas. We have Nick Bristow, our managing broker of United Real Estate here in Dallas, Texas. And good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Let's see. We just kind of give you a timeline of what's going on. The NCAA Finals, the championship, is upon us with Virginia and Texas Tech. This is an interesting week in sports. The Lady Bears of Baylor won the national championship. The Texas Longhorns won the NIT. So we could kind of sweep in basketball. Since we're not sweeping in football, we'll take what we can get. The last few weeks we've had a lot going on with United Real Estate. And as you know, Nick, we just had our national convention in Nashville, Tennessee. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your time with United and how your office is going, because it is the original mothership. So you're running the inaugural office, the very first office of right. United Real Estate, and which our company is growing. And I do want to talk about the whole company overall as well. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So I always like to get back to someone's roots, okay? So you were born in?
Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Were you a product of the Army?
Yeah, my dad was a soldier.
Okay. And your mom?
She was an immigrant. She didn't speak English. She wasn't a citizen when I was growing up, and so she got her citizenship when I was about maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah. And where was she from?
From Germany, but we're from Persian and Greek roots.
Wow. So that's a diverse background.
Oh, yeah.
So, and what year were you born?
1964.
64. That was a great year.
That was the best year.
This is the best year ever.
For me, it was.
Oh. So you lived at Fort Sill, and how long were you actually there?
We were there till I was about 4, and then we moved to, I don't know why, but to Greenwood, Mississippi.
Wow.
And then a couple years later to Dallas.
Mm-hmm. And so when your dad left the military, what did he do here?
I don't know. When we got to Dallas, we actually lived in a Volkswagen till we found some government housing. So we were homeless for, I guess, a couple months. And then he got a job selling Volkswagens. So, yeah, well, as a matter of fact, they're good enough to live in.
You don't have to just drive one.
Yeah.
I did, and you and I have never really had a conversation outside of business or work. So everything you're telling me is new news.
Oh,
I think that's a fascinating story in itself.
It was an interesting child. It was a good childhood.
Yeah. Well, you know what? My philosophy has been, usually in your younger years, if you look at the things that happen to you, it's usually in the first 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
The first 10 are probably the most impressionable, and you don't even someone else may look at it and say, "Oh man, that's a terrible, tough time," and really, we didn't know, and you didn't know whether it was good or bad. But your perception is great, and the reality terms, you are who you want to make yourself.
Right. Exactly.
And that's a lot about how real estate works too.
Yeah, it's a lot. You bring a lot with you. Growing up poor, growing up in the projects, my sister and I were the lightest colored kids there, but none of us knew. We were all just, Nick and Chris and Paul and Mike, and so I grew up, colorblind. It's just we were all just friends. So
Yeah.
It was a poor childhood was a very rich one for me.
Yep. Well, and I had not really thought about this in a long time until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, because there's so much made about race and all this stuff. And when I was in school, we lived in a town where we had segregated pools and the side of town, but I was on the front end of just the people mixing. So I had African American friends that were just as close to me as the Caucasians, and so I just didn't know the difference. And I think it's amazing that it's 55 years later, and we're still having these conversations.
Yeah, it blows my mind. It's interesting. I grew up, like I said, we were the lightest colored kids, but also in an immigrant household. And my mom always had a saying, if nobody fits in, everybody fits in. And that's kind of why I like the diversity of the firm I'm at.
So with your mother having a language barrier somewhat, how did you pick up on what she was saying all the time? Did you just know, or did you just learn the language?
I could understand enough of her language, and then she's in Mensa. She's extremely intelligent. So she picked up English very quickly. It was kind of funny when she first learned English. It was from our black neighbors would teach her during the day, so she had a bit of Ebonic. It was the funniest thing with her heavy accent, and then it was just a funny way to learn it, but everybody helped her.
Yeah.
All the neighbors helped her learn English, so it was almost like a little village teaching her. So she picked it up very quickly.
That's wild. Yeah. Well, cool. So you moved to Dallas. You extricate yourself from the Volkswagen. Yeah. And where did you live in Dallas?
We lived in some government housing called it's called Spanish Village now. It's at Lake June and Jim Miller. It was called the Pleasant Grove Apartments back then.
Yeah.
Grew up there, and then my mom, she was an engineer by college, and so when she got her first job, when she learned enough English, we bought a little house over off of St. Augustine and like Masters right in there. A little tiny 3-bed, 900 square foot house, and we thought we were just living large. Living the dream.
Well, yeah.
For us, it was.
Yeah.
We had our own place. So
sure. Yeah. Well, the after that, where did you go to high school?
Went to Bishop Lynch. So my mom started her own engineering firm when she had enough money and her English was good enough. And so we moved over to the Lake Highlands area because she was making really good money. And so went to St. Bernard's. I went to St. Augustine, then St. Bernard's, then Bishop Lynch.
What do you remember most about high school?
I hated ties.
You hated ties.
I had to wear a tie since kindergarten.
Yeah.
And, I was just ready to get a.
Well, I will say you did look extremely sharp last week in Nashville.
I got a lot of confidence on that suit.
Well, it was a great suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, at first I looked up and I said, "Is that Nick?"
I looked in the mirror. I was like, "Is that me?"
Well, the pictures came out good.
Yeah, they came out nice.
No, you look very professional. That was nice. So you leave high school. Where do you go?
I went in the Marine Corps. I decided college maybe wasn't for me. It was down the road, but not the time. I wanted some challenge in my life.
Right.
And I didn't feel like college was going to provide me with the sense of adventure, but also a lot of physical and mental challenge. So I figured the Marine Corps was the hardest thing the military had, so I chose the Marine Corps and went in.
So tell me, what year did you go into the Marines?
1983.
Okay. And so where you had basic training?
San Diego,
in San
Hollywood
Diego.
Marine.
Yeah. I will be in San Diego tomorrow and looking at a project, and we have some land out there that we're looking at. San Diego is a neat place.
It's interesting.
Yeah. It's very diverse.
It's diverse. It has a little bit of a laid-back tempo compared to L.A. It's a very nice place. I like San Diego a lot.
What was the hardest thing about basic training?
All of it. Well, I think at the time, and they probably still do it, they emotionally and mentally break you down and physically, and then rebuild you how they want. And so that transition is extremely painful. It's grueling, but I kind of like the feel of the grind. So I enjoyed that part as much as I hated it. I also liked it a lot.
So you get through basic training. Now, how long does that take?
I think it was 13 weeks.
My nephew just went through basic training in San Diego in the last month and a half to 2 months. And my sister and her family all went out when they wrapped it up and finished. And, I think the thing that stands out the most is the young men that complete the basic training come out looking like a Marine.
Yeah. I went in, I wrestled in high school. I weighed 128 pounds. Mm-hmm. I came out, I weighed 170.
Wow.
I came home, people were like, holy smokes.
What happened to him?
I'm like, I don't know, I just worked out and ate.
Yeah.
So,
well, they're building a machine.
That's what you do.
Yeah, they're building a machine. Yeah. So you get through with training, and then where do they send you to?
I had signed up. I wanted guaranteed infantry, so I went to infantry training school at San Onofre. And then reconnaissance is the hardest thing in the Marine Corps you can do, and that's their special ops. It's in MARSOC now. And so the sergeant major from Recon came down and asked for volunteers. And so about 60 of us volunteered, and after a very, very grueling several weeks, 2 of us got selected. That was me and my buddy Wanless. So we made the cut, and then we got assigned to 1st Recon Battalion.
So what's the selection process? How many people would have been in 2 out of how many?
60.
Out of 60. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, 2 of us made it.
Did you what about language skills? Do you speak more than one language?
I speak. I picked up a lot of German because I spent my summers in Germany with my family in a little village. When I'm there, I pick it back up. As far as the military goes, I was an Arabic linguist, but I learned that in the Army. In the Marine Corps, there wasn't a need for us to have a language.
Right.
So my area was in the Marine Corps was South America. So a couple of the guys on my team spoke Spanish. So I didn't have a need for it.
So I understand just from the notes that I have, you were also a part of a rescue team for POWs.
Yeah, since we were the jungle guys, our AO was South America. We were constantly training because that's when they were really, really looking for Vietnam POWs and MIAs. So my team was one of a couple that if they found a camp, we would go in, invade the camp, and liberate the POWs.
Wow. Well, that's very commendable.
It's fun work.
Well, it's historic.
Yeah, unfortunately, we never got called. We had a few alerts, and we got an airborne. Then they did a stand down because it was they couldn't verify the POWs.
Right. I don't think a lot of people realize what all the Marines do, or the special ops people. I believe you had something to do with the Olympics too. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I was also trained in counterterrorism. So my team was selected for the '84 LA Games. We were on one of the counterterror teams there. In the event of a terrorist attack, our job was to, either kill the terrorist and free as many people as we can. So.
Gotcha. Scuba? Did you have to learn scuba and all that stuff?
Yeah, airborne and scuba. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, scuba was fun. I mean, it can be very challenging because especially in the Pacific. Because first you're worried about a shark eating you because that's like the red triangle or the great white's feed. And you're in there at night dressed in dark. So that's kind of was always on the back of my mind. But also just the water's just so darn cold in the Pacific. It wasn't uncommon for people to get hypothermia. I got it a couple times.
Yeah.
So it's just it's grueling. The scuba parts is.
Yeah,
painful.
I would think.
It's probably the hardest.
So what are some of the countries that you were posted in or traveled to?
Yeah,
what would be some that would be like, international travel?
Mine, I spent a lot of time in Panama because another one of our missions was during Iran-Contra. We would go down. I forgot what SEAL team it was that we would go down there with them and a couple of A teams. It was like a joint special ops from all the branches and the combat controllers from the Air Force. And we go down there and we patrol looking for drug runners and gun runners, and we wouldn't contact them. We would just do intel reporting on what they're carrying, their locations, and things like that.
Sure. So you're in the military, and how many years did that cover? 83 to...
80. I was in the Marine Corps 83 to 87, and then I got out for a year.
Okay. So what did you do?
About maybe 2 years I got out.
Okay. During that couple of years, what happened then? What were you doing?
Started waiting tables. Found out I wasn't cut out for waiting tables.
Yeah.
Went to college, and I ended up owning a tree service. So
Start a little business.
Yeah.
And then after a year, you decided to do what?
I wanted to go back in the military.
Yep.
Desert Storm was starting to heat up. I had been, I knew something was on the horizon because the Marine Corps had reached out to me and asked me to come take a physical. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm out. They're like, no, you have 8 years that we can get you. And because of my training,
Yep.
they were already going to pull me back in because they needed recon guys. And I was like, man, I've done that. There's the other side of special ops I want to be on. So this was probably in 89 or 88 or 89. So in 90, I joined the Army because I wanted to try to get in their special ops.
I got you. You've really been a military guy.
Yeah, I would have done it forever.
That's your
if I
love.
could've,
Yeah. So you end up leaving the military, and so what happens then?
Well, that was my interesting part of my story. I was in special ops in the Army for 8 years. I got hurt really bad. So I got out. I wasn't planning on getting out. I planned on staying in forever. So, 1 minute I'm in special ops, the next minute I'm standing on a sidewalk in Dallas.
Wow.
So for me personally, I had a very difficult time transitioning over.
Yep.
It took me a good 10 years to
Make
get
that
footing.
step.
Yeah, I just felt like I was stuck on leave and I needed to get back to base and get back to work, and it was just the weirdest feeling.
There's been a lot of films that have depicted similar situations, and I feel like there's probably going to be a lot more as people start understanding. They'll do a feature on somebody, and somebody that's they've been career military. They wake up one day and it's almost like they think their life is over.
Yeah,
because they don't have it's like you said, I can't step back into it. I don't know what to do next.
You're almost institutionalized in your mindset. So it took me that long because for the longest time I was a soldier stuck out here. It took me a long time to finally be a civilian with a military history. If you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
And so it took a long time with the help from the VA, a lot of therapy there to get my feet back on the ground.
Sure. So did you go to college?
Yeah, I went to Texas A&M, graduated there with a degree in leadership studies, and then I got a master's from there as well.
Yeah, leadership studies, that kind of fits your MO, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess it does.
So I think you got into flipping houses.
Yeah, so in 97, I got out in 97, and to be honest, I was unemployable. So I better work for myself. So
they've said that about me for years.
Yeah, me too. They still do. So my sister was a real estate agent, so she got me into flipping. into flipping houses, and I did that till 06.
So that's a pretty good while.
9 years. Yeah, good 9-year run.
So you left flipping houses right before the downturn.
Yeah. I got my license. And then in 06, I got a stated credit loan while I was in Germany. I'm like, something bad's going to happen. So I decided to get into the foreclosure business.
That's smart.
Yeah,
so what all areas did you cover with the flipping business?
I stayed mainly in North Oak Cliff, Kessel Park, Kidd Springs area, Bishop Arts.
Yeah.
That's where I flipped.
That area has changed.
Oh, my God.
It's amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah. And of course, people wanted to be there, then nobody wanted to be there. Now everybody wants to be there. Wonderful transitional homes, a lot of historic homes.
Yeah, I had a beautiful house there right at Bishop Arts, built in 1918. It was about 4,000 square feet.
Wow.
Picked it up for nothing
when
nobody wanted to be there. And then, 7 years later, everyone wanted the house.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah. So this goes on. Then what did you do after the flipping?
After the flipping, I got in the foreclosure business. In 06, the average real estate agent saying, this is going to last forever, this up market. And I was thinking, now it's going to crash. So I started courting the banks. I made connections with a lot of local banks, but also with a lot of asset companies and Countrywide and Citibank. And so they started giving me REO work because nobody wanted it.
Yep.
And they fed me very well.
How long did that go on?
That went on till 2015. I closed about probably 700-800 houses. So I had a big team.
Then you went over with a team XYZ. Yeah. to be never named.
Yeah. And so I had a big team. But one thing I learned about myself when I was on that, when I ran, I leased a big suite at the office. Was all the agents would come to me for advice about contracts or about stuff, and so I found out. Then is when I want to be a broker. I said I think that's my true calling. It's not the sales. I want to be a broker. That's kind of what put the hook in me.
So you became a broker when?
Actually, in February of 2018. I was hired on by United to be the managing broker, but I needed to get my broker's license. So Brenda stayed along until we finished up everything with Trek, and I got my.
So we had Brenda Thompson, who actually was the inaugural broker, managing broker for United Real Estate Dallas, and I've known her since she joined originally. What year did we open the United office?
2011.
2011. So we're 8 years old. Time flies.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
It's really funny because I ran my own business for 27 years, and I only signed a contract to be with this company for 3 years. And not that I wasn't planning on staying. It's just, any relationship like this, any corporate relationship, business relationship, you don't know what the end is going to be.
Right.
Then you wake up and you've been here 13 years. So
that's
funny, amazing.
Funny how that works.
Amazing.
Isn't it?
So tell me about your office. I know you have you being the managing broker. Who do you have working with you? I think you have Judy, who's in the office, and she's actually been on the show before.
Oh, has she?
Yeah, she was on the show about 6 months ago or 4 months
She's
ago.
awesome.
Yeah. So she's
awesome.
What does she do?
She's on the compliance team. So Judy is on compliance. Lori Miles is my assistant manager. She heads up all the admin. I don't get involved in the admin stuff because I'll mess it up.
Yep.
So Lori handles that, and then we have Trouta up front, who's been a broker a long time, and so she mans the front desk. She's our first line of defense.
Right. And so
for questions.
And that would be the main team for United Real Estate Dallas, and then of course United Real Estate, the parent company, the corporation, United Real Estate Brands basically is next door where my office is. And so we have our corporate team there, and then we have our original office next door.
Right.
So tell me why you joined United Real Estate.
Well, I was looking for a firm to run, and I don't believe in traditional split firms. And I was also being very particular about making sure if I was going to be at the face of a firm, it was very diverse, because that's my background. And I don't feel comfortable being the lead figure of any firm that's not extremely diverse. But before anything else, to go back to Brenda, she's the one that hired me. I was not a broker. I had never run a brokerage in my life. She saw something in me because I had no qualifications for this job other than the expertise that I had earned with my running a team. So I can't thank her enough for seeing something in me and deciding to hire me. So.
So from a management standpoint in a real estate business, you could really look at Brenda as your mentor.
Yeah, she was, and she stayed with me for months and months and months and months, helping me learn the systems and all that stuff. I knew I could lead people. I'd been in the military, but never a brokerage with independent contractors, and so she really gave me a lot of hand-holding at first to get me up and running. So
yeah. So when she stepped out of the United Real Estate office, she stepped into a corporate role in our office, and her office is actually in our suite where we are.
Yeah, right behind me.
But we never see her.
Right.
Because she's
always out.
She's gone all the time. She flies every week just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about what United Real Estate has to offer a broker or an agent that wants to enter an office.
Well, you hear the term disruption all the time, and you hear it so much it's become diluted. You can be a gregarious company with one change, and suddenly you call yourself a disruptor. There's two types of disruptors. There's one that's going to survive and one that are disruptive in an up market that's not sustainable in a down market. And we saw that in 06 when the market, or 08 when the market tanked. 1 million disruptive firms went out of business because their model wasn't sustainable. This one was built during turmoil, during a down market, and it's been proven it works fine in a down market. It works great in an up market, so it's sustainable. First of all, as far as what it offers people, it's the only firm or the only company that's international. We have a footprint around the world, 100% commissions, full support. So we have everything a traditional firm has, but we're 100% commissions and better support than anybody. I can promise you better support than anybody.
So if if I'm an agent and I sell, let's just say I sell a $300,000 house in, let's say Frisco. Okay. So you're telling me I'm going to get 100% of my commission.
Yep, we charge a $4.95 transaction fee.
Yep.
The good thing about being a fee structure like we are, it gives our agents the capacity to negotiate their commissions on the fly, because there's a lot of firms out there that are offering discounted commissions, and a lot of split firms are telling their agents you can't negotiate your commissions. Well, a lot of them are moving to us because they're going to go out of business. Yep. They have to find a home like us that we allow them to negotiate. You don't have to get my permission first, as long as you leave enough money for the transaction fee and the E&O. Do what you got to do to get the business.
Yep.
They got to eat.
Yep. Yeah. We are definitely in changing times.
Oh, very.
Yeah. Of course, I was with the group that decided to create United Real Estate. I can still remember the original conversations. And it was during the actually the discussion started before the downturn.
Right.
However, we could see very quickly. United Real Estate was it wasn't an afterthought. It was something we knew going in. We needed to do something unique and different in the marketplace because times they were a-changing. And we go into the Great Recession. People can call it, we have the Great Depression, and we have what could be considered one of the greatest recessions.
Right.
Doesn't mean we won't have another one, because we will have one.
Yeah.
I think I've been through 3 at least, maybe 4, since I got into business, right. And they seem more dramatic every time, but quite frankly, they're all dramatic, and they're all damaging, and they're all they're painful for investors. They're painful for entrepreneurs because they wake up one day and their bank is gone, and you've got the FDIC or somebody breathing down your neck wanting payments that you can't make, and then the bankruptcies come, and it's foreclosures go down, and it's, of course, we have media now. See, that's the social media factor, and then the fact that we have 500 TV channels of experts talking about it. They're trying to make a living by talking about everything that's bad.
Yeah.
So, it's going, the fallout over the next 5 years is going to be extremely interesting. And the big firms, the Realogies of the world, without being specific, they simply can't sustain.
No, they can't. My prediction is the next downturn is going to come from, I think we have a record number of corporate-owned single-family homes that are rentals. I mean, billions and billions and billions. I did acquisitions for one, and they've got about $8 billion in holdings. It's unhealthy that we have that many huge companies with that big of a swath.
Yep.
If there's a ripple, they're going to sell. If something, you know what I mean? And so my feeling is that might be the next, something's going to happen within the chemistry of those companies.
Yep.
With the economy trying to seek balance.
It'll be toxic.
It's going to be toxic.
Yeah. I remember working with the RTC and some companies. I was part of one of the teams that was conducting the auctions at the big hotels in the ballrooms.
Right.
This was before online. This was in the early 90s, say 92, 93, right in there. And we were selling, 500 properties to 1,000 in a 2-day period. And it was open to the public, and the public was very involved, because the thought was, and the government's thought at the time was, let's blow this stuff out and get it back in the hands of the public so that they can start paying taxes and rehab them and get them back out, flip them or whatever. Yeah. Then the next go round, we woke up and there were no public auctions. There were large tapes of properties, but they were being offered to major corporations and individuals of high wealth, which I thought was horrendous. I believe in free enterprise.
It's a mistake. It
was a huge mistake. So I know of at least 2 or 3 billionaires who bought thousands of properties, and I didn't think it was right then. I don't think it's right now, because it was the government tends to, because of politics, tends to take care of the people that are going to help take care of them. Yeah. They had no allegiance to the American public. They had a greater allegiance to their donors. Yeah. So I've kind of had a real attitude about this for a long time. In fact, this is the first time I think I've talked about it on a show. But just the American people, like any population, they don't see all the things that go on, and the media tends to concentrate on other things that are really not very important. Usually, sports, music, movies, movie stars. They're not talking about the billions and billions of dollars that are being traded behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And so, I hope people start paying more attention. So when the next downturn comes, there's a bigger push that these assets get exposed to the general public.
Yeah, you'd hope. I think the mindset was we have so much REO inventory that if it all gets let loose, or if we don't start absorbing inventory, there's going to be a significant crash. And so I think that's what the card that was played by those big corporations, like, hey, we can buy this inventory. It doesn't
For
have
pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, it doesn't have to hit the market, so it's not going to impact home values, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And then they went into, once the economy started becoming healthy, they started purchasing right off MLS, and that caused a false inflation because a lot of them were paying full list cash. And so it caused a bit of a price surge that was actually false. It wasn't the public doing that. That was these corporations doing it. So when they left the market, it dropped back down. So it's been interesting. You'd have to be blind, I think, not to see what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, look at the prices in Frisco and Plano, and I always tend to buy at the top of the market. I like to support.
I have to buy this year.
I like to support everybody. What do you think about the interest rates right now?
They've been kind of hovering. It seems like they started going up, but they kind of backed off. I think they noticed that little cool trend this summer, and that was a mix of two things. A little less reload was going on, but also when they ticked up the interest rate some, we had a 6% drop in June, July, August, and everybody panicked. The sky's falling, the sky's falling. It was a little correction that we should have seen coming. Mm-hmm. But since then, it's kind of stabilized. We have really good growth in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because we have real jobs and real people moving here. It's not fake loans that's driving the growth. Is people.
It's not government pushed.
No, it's people moving here.
Yeah.
And they're still coming. A lot of people.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you have to do is get on the freeway in the morning.
Look at all the different license plates.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
So it's a good time to buy?
I think it's always a good time to buy. Even if we took a hit, it goes down, but it always ends up surpassing
where it was before.
The watermark. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think buying real estate is always a good time to buy. There's always better times than others, but I've never known that there'd be a bad time to buy real estate.
Right. So if somebody joins your office,
mm-hmm.
they have access to training?
Yes, we do about 100, and my master's is in training, so I'm really focused on that. We do about 130 sessions of training a year. We broadcast it live on our Facebook page because I have 455 agents, and I can't fit 455 people up there. I have agents with jobs, agents with sick kids, agents that are exhausted from showing a weekend. So my job as their broker is to give them all equal access to training. So that's why we still have it in the office. That we broadcast it, we stream it all live.
They can come in and do training.
Oh, of course they can, and a lot of people do, and I love seeing them. But in the end, my job is to get everyone trained, not just the people that can show up.
So we had the convention in Nashville a week and a half ago.
Oh, what a great time that was.
I've been a part of I guess all of the United Country, our mothership, the original company that goes back 93 years. And, I've been to every one of their trainings since around 2007. Mm-hmm. Is that right? 2007. And I've been to most of the United Real Estate conventions. Mm-hmm. I would say, in my opinion, of course, I'm partial to Nashville anyway. I think it's one of the absolute best that we've ever had. We had great training, we had great speakers. The motivation, the ramp up, the excited piece of that pie. And then, of course, we always have a good time too. So we have a vendor expo where people can come and talk to the vendors, mm-hmm. The various divisions of the company. For example, SCS, my division, Strategic Client Services. It gives me a chance to interact with everyone who comes to the convention and talk about special projects. So, as you well know, if you have an agent or a broker that needs help on a big project. I'm going to San Diego tomorrow to meet with our United Real Estate office out there because we have already secured a listing on a veteran-owned, ironically, farm.
Wow.
And they are promoting selling and helping finance veteran-owned businesses, especially small farms.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And then tomorrow night I fly out of San Diego and I go to Los Angeles, and I'm with our Beverly Hills office with Annie Chen.
Annie and Janet, yeah.
Yes. And as you well know, Annie did quite well in the awards department.
Yeah, she did good.
Yeah. And then
love her to death, too.
And then if you look at what's great about this company, though, it's not just a myopic view. We have our top producer in the whole company is in Kansas City.
Yeah,
nice guy, great guy, and he can sing. We
found
that. Yeah,
I was shocked. He got up there and I was like, "Uh-oh." He was like, "Wow, man, that guy can sing."
Yeah, that was terrific. And we had rented out an entire nightclub the last night we were all there. And he got up, and I'm thinking, well, this ought to be good. And then he just took off, and I'm like going, what? He could be a country singer.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Now we're friends on Facebook. I had never met him before. And,
I hadn't either.
And now all of a sudden, I'm looking at, he performs all the time.
Yeah.
And so then, and you have the folks over in Kentucky, and they did quite well. And then you look at our friends over in Richmond, Virginia, and
John.
Yep, Mr. Finn.
Yeah.
And let's talk just a second. I've got some questions for you I want to ask. Autism Speaks. You want to talk a little bit about that, what our relationship is?
Well, we have a corporate relationship with them. They've, since I got there, they have been kind of what our corporation sponsors as far as a charitable organization.
Yep.
Fantastic people. I've met quite a few of them. Just so focused on their mission. It's just really a very empowering company when you talk to them and how many people they touch and how far they can stretch a buck to reach as many people as possible. So as a firm, we donate. Our agents have the option to donate a little bit per closing. I always tell them, always appreciated, never obligated, because a lot of our agents are already part of other charitable events.
Sure.
And so, but we do really well. They provide a lot. We just a great company.
So this year we had an event at Top Golf in Nashville, and Autism Speaks was the benefactor of that effort, which was great. I mean, I think everybody had a super time. I highly recommend Top Golf. If you're looking for a corporate event or a place where you can raise some cash for an organization, or just want to have a good time, they keep popping up everywhere. Of course, we have one here in the Colony, and then the one in Nashville was fairly new.
That was nice, too.
Yeah, it was very nice.
It's a neat concept, because people like to golf.
Yep.
But the thing about golf is you're kind of with four people.
Yep.
And here, you're with everybody.
Yep.
So everybody could joke around and laugh, and so it feels more like a huge group is involved instead of a bunch of small groups.
Yep.
It just really works out.
I think the other thing about that atmosphere and that not everyone's a great golfer.
Yeah,
not everybody's designed to play golf. They're just not. They're not mentally built for it. And I'm not a good golfer, but I've been playing since I was 12. And to be able to, it's like being on the driving range, but with the benefit of competing. And so that's fun. And even a poor golfer can have a good time at Top Golf. And then you throw in the fact you can eat and have a drink while you're playing. Yeah. Well, you can do that from a golf cart, but the food factor doesn't work real well.
Yeah.
They don't have trays that drop down.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that was fun. So, what's your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite movie?
Oh man,
just throw one at me.
Well, it's a draw between Shawshank and Apocalypse Now.
Okay. Two musicals. Dark. Yeah. And two of my favorites too.
Yeah.
I love that. I bet I've seen Shawshank 20 times, 30 times.
I love it.
If it comes on, I can't help but stop.
Yeah.
And it's because of the actor combination that you have, and then you see something new. If you watch a movie multiple times, you see something different because you're looking for something different.
Yep.
But the characters in that movie were over the top.
Oh, they're fantastic.
And then Robert Duvall in Apocalypse.
How can you not like him?
Well, that was just a great movie. But here again, great actors make a great movie.
That's what it was. It was just great acting.
Do you have a single favorite actor?
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's my favorite actor.
Very diverse, very likable, even when he's not in a role where he's supposed to be liked. You tend to like him. You like him. You're pulling for him.
Yeah, he's like Mr. Glass or whatever, and some of the shows, I forgot what show. Is it it's a superhero? Is it a Marvel show or something? I forgot which show
I know what
it
you're
is.
talking about.
But I even like him in that one, when he's like supposed to be a bad guy.
Yeah, that's funny. You have a favorite music you like?
I tend to like, of course, older rock.
Classic
but I have
rock.
but I think if they're like strip me down so you can only listen to one thing, it'd be 90s rap.
Really?
I love Tupac and Snoop, and I absolutely love that music.
You know, I have a lot of friends that do, and there's some of that I like. You know, it's not my normal genre because I grew up on a dairy farm early on. You know, and everybody knows I like country.
Scruggs and Lester Flax.
Well, and I've got. I've got all their stuff and autograph stuff, and I'm into the old country. But then every once in a while, of course, I watched the CMAs last night, and for most people that are my age and older, they don't look at that as country music.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll tell you what's hilarious about that. So when you had the Charlie Prides and the Glenn Campbells and all that, as Glenn Campbell and Kenny Rogers started transitioning more towards, I would say, contemporary music,
like
and they really did.
Kind of.
Yeah. Well, the traditionalists were complaining then.
Yeah.
So it was like, what are they doing to our music? And even Dolly, she was middle of the road stuff. I mean, they were appearing on all the charts. They were crossing over to pop. And so I think it's interesting. And so I try to keep telling myself, quit acting old, open up your mind. And so, when we were in Nashville, a group of us went and saw Zach Brown. Well, we had just worked with Zach Brown here in Dallas back in October, November. But I didn't really, my brain was busy raising money, and I was working for the American Cancer Society, so my brain was not around going to a concert.
Right.
I was exhausted after the show. And so I actually got to go to a concert and see him, and he's a phenomenal artist and can play anything, literally. I mean,
that's what's amazing. Some people, I'm like, man, I can't carry a tune, and they play these instruments and they sing, and it's like, wow.
I know. Well, I listen real well.
Yeah, I do too. I play the radio.
So I want you to tell the folks that are tuned in, and because we do get people from literally all over the world. Tell me if someone's interested in joining or looking into joining United Real Estate Dallas, exactly how, tell them how they need to get a hold of you to talk to them.
2 ways. The best way is shoot me a text on my cell phone because I monitor it constantly, and that's 214-564-5766. Or you can send me an email. It's my first initial N and my last name Bristow, so NBRISTOW at ure-dallas.com, and I will contact you normally within a couple minutes.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell the folks?
No. If you haven't heard about United, or you've heard, you need to really do some research. An absolutely amazing company. There's a lot of quote unquote disruptors out there, but disruption, like I said, is very overused. United is a phenomenon in the way they're set up, that it's not omnidirectional. We go out, it's like a spider web. A spider web goes out in a perfect center, and this company has spider webbed out to where it encompasses everything. It covers everything. It can handle any kind of real estate, pretty much anywhere in the world. And that's very, very unique. And it's something that anyone, especially if you're interested in maybe doing international real estate, you should really look into United. Fantastic. I wouldn't waste my time being here. I had other options.
Sure.
I chose this company for a reason.
Right. So they've got training. They have marketing. And they have assistance in vendor relationships.
Yes.
So literally, whatever an agent needs to make it in the real estate business,
we have it.
We have it.
We have leads. We have, and one thing, I never promise a lot of things. One thing I will promise, you will never get better support, period. every agent's got my cell phone number. They call me, they text me. I'm available evenings, weekends. I'm constantly helping them out. Veronica at the office helps me. She does the exact same thing. So we really have a huge amount of support for our agents.
Do we have a referral network?
Yes. So we have an internal one. So if you have, say, you live in Dallas and you have a friend that's moving to California, you put the information into the referral network. Our team will contact an agent in California and get the get the referral work that way.
Okay. So it literally is everything. And
It's
we
everything.
also have relationships with we know lots of people in the business. We know title companies, we know lenders, all of these things that are part of the process. We have it. And you don't there's no such thing as desk time.
No.
Explain that.
Specify what do you mean by desk time?
Well, in the old days, which at some agencies still do this, in order to get out. Well, there's a couple of ways to look at this. Back in the old days, you were expected to put in so much time at the front desk answering the phones.
No, we don't do that.
But there's still agencies that do that.
And I don't like that because what's happening is an agent works hard to get a listing, and the company's number goes on that, and those leads that listing agent should have gotten are going to the company.
Yep.
And I think that's very unfair, and that's another one of the reasons I didn't choose a firm like that, because I don't think trying to grow your firm off the backs of your listing agents is a good way to do it.
Well, it creates a caustic atmosphere.
It does.
And I've seen that with others. I've had a lot of friends here in Dallas that work for XYZ companies, and they're everywhere. And what I would do, I would go have lunch or dinner or have an afternoon cocktail when the day was over, and the number, that's all they would talk about. They would be talking about so-and-so that was on the desk up front. And then competing with their managing broker.
Yeah.
And you don't do that.
No. I don't list or sell. I have one focus, and that's grow the Dallas firm, and I'm not going to be sidetracked by pursuing outside businesses. I don't think it's fair to me or fair to the company.
Very good. Well, Nick Bristow, thank you so much for being with us. I think it's been a great show. It's very, very enlightening. You've lived a very interesting life.
I had a fun one.
And based on the numbers they're given right now, you're only like halfway through your life. You could live to be 110. You could be selling real estate at 100.
Ouch. One thing I want to mention about Nashville, how humbling it was when I was on stage to be in the presence of our C team. We had our CEO, Dan, our new president, Rick Haas, our CFO, Scott, and our CTO, Dave Dickey.
Yep.
When you're standing up there with the depth of knowledge and leadership, we have an amazing C team. And I was so humbled. I was like, wow, man, these guys, those are our guys. That's our leadership, and it was very humbling.
Yeah. A lot of years of experience.
Tons of
and as you well know, because you're right here when they're here, there's not a greater group of humans. I won't even say men, because
not an ego in the room.
We have Brenda as part of that team too in our office, and it is humbling to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then you see the way they give back to their people.
And there's no egos. That's what I like the best. And they're humble people.
Yeah. Well, when somebody introduces you and you're the chief guy and one of the original owners of this company, and because of what she said of what he did for her, and he slightly loses his composure as the beginning of his speech and the introduction to the convention, that tells you that there's a heart. And so really, to me, that's the heart team.
That's exactly what it is. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
It's all about the people you get to work with.
So as you said, greatest support you'll ever get from any real estate company. And your cell number again.
That's my personal cell. That's not like a company. That's my personal cell phone number.
214-564-5766.
That's me.
And you can also contact you by email at nbristow, Bristo, at ure-dallas.com.
That's me.
Nick, go to work.
All right.
Let's do some things for our people. And thank you very much for being a part of the show today. And I appreciate you so much.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
I'm very proud to work with you.
Yeah. I'm proud to work with you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of everyone here at Lincoln Center and the United offices across the country, from Dallas North Tollway and the LBJ Freeway, for the Mike McGavel Jones Show, we bid you adieu for one more week. We look forward to seeing you again. God bless you, and adios from Dallas, Texas.